Hello, good morning to all of you. I would like to welcome you to the Chilean German Mining and Mineral Resources Forum 2021. For those of you who are watching the webinar on the Zoom platform, I remind you that you can access the simultaneous translation into English and Spanish in the toolbar. If you're watching the webinar on EMAL TV, the whole transmission will be in Spanish. Now, I will give these indications briefly in English as well.
Everyone to this webinar. For those of you joining us via Zoom, please note that this event has simultaneous translation in Spanish and English, and in the Zoom menu you can choose the language channel. And I would now switch back to Spanish.
My name is Denise Kirchner, and it's a pleasure for me to join you during this event on behalf of the German Chamber and the Chilean Business Center, because this webinar is the annual celebration of the successful cooperation between both countries and an important dialogue instance to exchange about relevant and current topics for the bilateral agenda. This year, the forum is held under the title Chilean-German Cooperation in Mining and Mineral Resources, Status Quo and Towards the Post-Covid-19 Era. I will be sharing my screen now. This event in our Mining Business Center is supported by the German Federal Ministry of Economics and Energy. And we have the support of the Chilean Ministry of Mining as well, which is sponsoring this event. That is why we're very happy that today we have authorities from both countries, from both institutions who would like to give some opening remarks. But first, let me turn the floor over to Cornelia Sonnenberg, our General Manager at the German Chamber, so that she can officially welcome to this forum. Cornelia, please, you have the floor. Good morning, everyone. Let me adjust my screen. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Denise. I'm very pleased to see some familiar faces. So it's an honor for me to greet you and welcome the authorities and organizations supporting us. I see Dr. Thomas Geckle, who is the Deputy Director General of the Industry Division, the Federal Ministry of Economics and Energy Affairs in Germany. Edgar Blanco, Vice Ministry of Mining in Chile, who unfortunately is not with us today live, but he sent a video clip. I see our friends from the Association of Antofagasta Industrialist Organizers of Expo Nor. I'd like to thank for their support and collaboration and the invitation they extended Germany so that our country is the guest country in this 2022 version. Chilean-German cooperation in mining and mineral resources is about to become 9 years old. This collaboration has a much longer tradition, given the importance of mining for both countries. Tradition that has led to an ongoing renewal of our ties in this sector. Chilean-German cooperation starts when in 2011 Germany sets the country's strategy for mineral resources. This cooperation was made formal in 2013 by the official counterparts of the Ministry of Mining in Chile and the Federal Ministry of Economic and Energy Affairs in Germany. From this cooperation, we have this annual Chilean-German Forum, this is the 10th version today, for discussing the common interest. Mining and technology are two faces, two sides of the same coin. Without technology, mining cannot be more sustainable, safe, and efficient. And without mining, we will not have the key raw materials to face climate change and expand energy transition. Thus, the link of our two countries around mining aims at facing together these current challenges, as well as the ambitious climate challenges or the effects of COVID-19 pandemic. In this 10th forum, we'll be discussing key topics, which are also part of the next Expo Nor in 2022, as with Germany as a guest country. The effects of pandemic in the mining industry, access to raw materials, the problems in the supply chains, the new challenges and the technology trends faced by mining, as well as other challenges and opportunities globally. For these and other questions, our AHK Chile made available different platforms and initiatives with the support of the German Ministry of Economic Affairs. We have the Mining Business Center, which is our main platform for strategic cooperation between Chile and Germany in mining and natural and mineral resources. We've also introduced the first working group on lithium. We have the Eco Mining Concept, which is a Chilean-German network with nearly 40 companies and organizations aiming at contributing to a more sustainable mining. That's a project focused on sustainability of mining industry. Also, AHK Chile is leading the Chamber German Mining Network, which is an international network that gathers 8 mining centers in the world: Australia, Brazil, Canada, Chile, of course, China, Ghana, Peru, and South Africa, which are part of which are important mining partners for Germany. This is a platform for technology innovation and mining solutions for raw material market. And since we cannot talk about mining without talking about energy, all these initiatives are supplemented with a Chilean-German cooperation in energy, which was made official through the Energy Partnership, which aims at the supplementary topics such as generation and the use of green hydrogen, a more sustainable mining, efficient and safe, among other aspects. With the Green Deal in Europe, Europe set the goal of becoming the first climate-neutral continent by 2050. This is a huge bet led by Germany, which opens up several challenges and opportunities for Chilean mining, and facing them successfully requires putting together the best of the two worlds, such as the motto of AHK Chile. So thank you, and I wish you all a successful meeting. Thank you, Connie, for your kind remarks. And with that, we'll go now to the Ministry of Mining in Chile. And the Vice Minister was kind enough sending us opening remarks. Thank you, Mr. Edgardo Blanco Ran, for your kind remarks, and the floor is yours. Good morning, everyone. Let me greet Elizabeth Winkelmeyer-Becker, who's the State Secretary for the Ministry of Economics and Energy, and Cornelia Sandberg, General Manager of AHK Chile, the panel members in this new version, and all of those of you joining us over the streaming. The German-Chilean Mining and Raw Materials Forum, it's a dialogue between the two countries to discuss the bilateral agenda on both topics. It was put together in 2013 when Chile and Germany signed a cooperation agreement with a strategic alliance in mining and mineral resources. It's been nearly 10 years of this important dialogue. We've been able to build a virtuous cycle with multiple collaboration and cooperation stories. On the one hand, German technology contributes for the Chilean mining to be more efficient, safe, and sustainable. On the other hand, Chile provides raw materials to the German industry for the expansion and energy transition and electromobility. Our fluent and relationship allows us to work together in facing the current and future challenges, climate change, the effect of the pandemic. We need to emphasize the importance of mining for both countries. Without mining, we will never be able to manage the energy transition. Therefore, the goals set will not be achieved. Mining, it's a key industry so as to reduce the emissions. Europe has the challenge of becoming the first climate-neutral continent before the 2050. The Green Deal is a driving force for Chilean mining industry. Among the projects we have to emphasize first the Mining Business Center. It's a platform to develop a strategic partnership between Chile and Germany in mining and mineral resources. That in July this year, together a working group on lithium, the eco mining concept, which is a Chilean-German network, nearly 40 companies and 3 organizations aiming at contributing to a more sustainable mining. This is a focus on sustainability of the mining industry. Started in 2019, supported by the Federal Ministry of Economics. The German Mining Network is an international coordinated network supported by the AHK Chile, with the 8 mining centers around the world: Australia, Brazil, Canada, Chile, China, Ghana, Peru, and South Africa, and the partners in mining from Germany. A project supported by the Federal Ministry of Economics and Energy Affairs, which is a know-how platform in terms of technology innovation and mining solutions for the markets around the world. And of course, Expo Nord 2022 with Germany as a guest country. The bilateral relationship between the two countries has been centuries of cooperation. We share objectives based on the protection of the environment and sustainable development. This forum, it's an example of such a relationship that extends to energy, science, and technology dialogue. In economics, Germany is the #1 strategic partner in Europe. In 2020, total exports into Germany, 64% accounts for mining, with over $600 million. From there, copper, $642 million, and lithium carbonate, $18 million. As a government, we believe that as the world goes into cleaner technologies, energies, renewable energies, electromobility, the German industry and Chilean mining will have to work together to give people quality products and technology developed in a responsible way with traceability and a sustainable production model. On the other hand, I'd like to thank the support of AHK Chile and the Cooperation Agency, which are strategic partners for the development of bilateral mining initiatives between the two nations. And as to the pandemic we have had to face globally, in our country, mining has been one of the few economic activities that has kept its operations under very strict safety measures together with our workers, companies, and the government. As a ministry, and together with the industry, we have signed a commitment to face the effects of this pandemic. Mining throughout this period has been a great support for the recovery of our country. The vast investment mining portfolio, it's around $68 billion, which is our commitment to improve mining and to create more jobs. Copper has good future outlooks, especially for electromobility and renewable energies. As a government, we're fully convinced that Chile will be the leader in the production of mineral resources for clean technologies of the future. We'll protect the environment, we'll fight the global warming, and we'll be reducing carbon footprint. Mining plays a key role in this new era. Our country has the greatest copper and lithium reserves around the world. According to the last estimate, by 2030, the lithium global demand will reach 1.8 million tons of lithium equivalent. As Ministry of Mining, but but we implemented several measures for Chile to become a relevant actor. Chile has been committed with the governance of resources and supplying our international partners responsibly mine minerals. We believe a 4.0 mining development, modern, inclusive, sustainable, is the right path for developing this activity. Mining is a starting point of every supply chain. That's why we are increasing the control of traceability. Mining is sustainable today in Chile and will be carbon neutral by 2040 according to our national mining policy. We have a mature industry, advanced human capital, connectivity, and sound institutionality. Once again, I'd like to thank for the invitation to this important forum. Thank you and have a very nice day. Thank you once again, Mr. Blanco, and thank the Ministry of Mining for their support and contribution to this forum. And as I've already mentioned, this forum and the work being carried out through the Mining Business Center would not be possible without the support of the German Federal Ministry of Economics and Energy, who were offering some opening remarks. However, we have a little change in our agenda because they were not able to join the session on time because the plane was a little delayed. I hope they can join in a few more minutes. Denise, hi. I believe Annika is already in the session, so Annika will be offering those remarks. Okay, thank you, Iris. Okay, Annika, pleased to have you here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, and I will continue in English now, if that is all right. First of all, I would like to apologize for this last-minute inconvenience that we had with the flight of our Undersecretary, but it's my honor to be here with you today and to be able to represent the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Energy at today's 10th session of the German-Chilean Forum for Mining and Mineral Resources. In the past few years, our German-Chilean cooperation has reached an advanced level and has borne fruit in different areas, benefiting both of our countries and our enterprises. This is reflected, for example, in Chile's importance for German imports of raw materials. Chile is one of the top 5 countries of origin for German imports of copper, molybdenum, tantalum, and rhenium. And in the case of lithium, a raw material that is essential for electric mobility, Chile has been the #1 country of origin for lithium carbonate since 2018. As the demand from German industry for these raw materials will strongly increase over the next decades, the dynamics of German-Chilean raw material cooperation will only increase. The initial starting point was in 2013 with the signing of a joint declaration of intention between the Chilean Ministry of Mining and our ministry. From the very beginning onwards, topics like efficiency in the use of energy and water, sustainable processing, and technological innovation were at the heart of our mutual dialogue. And today, these issues are still on our agenda. However, the complexity of our current times has increased a lot. Social and environmental demands towards the global mining industry have become more sophisticated and diversified. And the pathway towards Mining 4.0 opens up endless opportunities, but also represents a process of transversal change. This process creates new challenges and bottlenecks, not only with regard to skilled labor. Climate change and the global COVID pandemic intensify the challenges of our industry even further, and the need to be innovative is greater than ever. From a German perspective, a central challenge is to ensure a secure supply of raw materials for our future technologies linked to e-mobility, the energy transition, or digitalization. The presentation from Michael Schmidt, an expert from the German Mineral Resources Agency, DERA, later on this program, will highlight this in more detail. However, the expected rise in the use of forward-looking technologies like e-mobility or renewable energies not only bears obstacles, but also opens up tremendous prospects for German-Chilean cooperation. As one of the world's most relevant supplier of responsibly produced copper and lithium, Chile is a strategic partner for our future goals towards an even more digitalized and sustainable industrial sector. However, it is no longer just an issue of ensuring a sufficient quantity of raw materials, but the quality of our supply chains as well. The responsible sourcing of raw materials has become increasingly important to our industry, and the global COVID pandemic has shown us that sustainable supply chains are also more resilient. The topic of sustainable raw materials extraction is also of great importance for German mining suppliers. Thanks to their expertise, technologies, and products, they make an important contribution to the creation of sustainable processes. With this in mind, our ministry has been supporting the Eco-Mining Concepts Network, a German-Chilean network for sustainable mining since 2018. It is directed towards German and Chilean companies and aims at enhancing the exchange in this specific field. German companies are furthermore known for their focus on safety, productivity, and of course, digitalization and automation. In a nutshell, they are strategic partners when it comes to the optimization of processes and high quality inputs and products. This is also why we very much appreciate the invitation to become partner country of the next Expo Nord Trade Fair in June 2022. This offers us and our companies a splendid opportunity to present high-end technological solutions for the Chilean mining industry on site. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow we will also celebrate the first session of the newly founded German-Chilean Lithium Working Group. This working group is to become another milestone in the comprehensive working agenda between Chile and Germany. In this context, I would like to thank the AHK Chile for its tireless work in fostering the exchange between German and Chilean companies and institutions. Since 2012, our ministry has been supporting the Competence Center for Mining and Raw Materials at the AHK Chile. Its aim is to process relevant information about the international raw material markets and to use synergies, bring partners together, and identify potential for cooperation. I am sure that today's session will follow this spirit and that new ideas regarding the future of our bilateral agenda will arise, especially for the post-COVID era. Let's hope it won't be too long in coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Annika, for your kind remarks and especially for your participation, for joining us. That's my pleasure. And with that, we move on to the first thematic block today with the two experts from Chile and Germany who will give us their views on their current market situation. After each block, we'll try to answer your questions, and for that, I'm joined by my dear colleague Iris Wunderlich, a project leader in mining and sustainability, which we already met before. Oh, hi, Iris. Hi, Iris. Hi, Denise. My apologies for the introduction. It was important to tell you that Annika was sitting in for the ministry. So officially, hello, good morning to our Chilean audience. Good afternoon in Germany. Thank you for everything. Let me say that the questions can be asked using the Q&A function or using the chat pod in Zoom. And then during the Q&A rounds, I will be asking the speakers as the time will allow it. And anything that, any topic that may be open, we can always ask speakers directly. We will be sharing the contact information. So that's for now. And Denise, what's next? Thank you, Iris. Yes, then I welcome our first panelist today, Michael Schmidt, who is a senior geologist and analyst at the German Mineral Resources Agency, which is a department of the Federal Institute for Geosciences and Natural Resources, reporting to the Federal Ministry of Economics and Energy and Central Authority, advising the German government on all geoscientific and raw materials issues. Michael will tell us more about current market trends and present the results of the study Raw Materials for Future Technologies 2021. which determines, among other things, the raw material requirements of 33 future technologies by 2040. But now I will offer the floor directly to Michael so that you can tell us more about it.
So if I'm understood this correctly, I can share my screen now.
Exactly.
Wonderful. I will shut off my camera during my talk. Thank you very much for the very kind introduction. I think you should see my slides right now. Is that correct?
Yes, we can see.
Wonderful. I was asked to present on a new LIDERA report that was published in July 2021, which is raw materials for emerging technologies. I will give you a short introduction to the report itself and finish my talk with an example out of this report, which will be lithium-ion batteries, because this is a technology that is very, very important for the Chilean mining industry in respect to lithium. If I understood Denise correctly, you've already heard what DERA is and where we are part of the BGR, and as she already mentioned, subordinate to the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs, so we don't have to dwell on this. As part of the DERA raw materials monitoring, which includes a lot of publications, a lot of reports, etc., we screen the demand side of mineral commodities, supply side, and additionally prices, price developments, price volatility. And all of these input data culminate in what we call risk analysis reports as one part of the publication side that we do. And this all results in the DERA services for a sustainable and secure raw materials supply, which is very, very important for the industry in general, but for the European industry in the sense of renewable energies, emerging technologies, green tech. These are very, very important topics, ESG issues, CO2 footprint, etc. On the demand side, the report that I just mentioned, the raw materials for emerging technologies, or in German, Rohstoffe für Zukunftstechnologien, is a report that is updated on a three-year basis. And we've just had the update presented online digitally on July 1st in 2021. It is available on the DERA website as a free download. And I've been told that the English version is in the works and should be on the way in early Q1 2022. The report includes the screening of more than 200 what we call emerging technologies, and 33 of those technologies have been selected and analyzed. And with that, I mean the raw materials demand forecast until the year 2040 with the base year of 2018. It is edited, or it was edited for DERA by the Fraunhofer Institute for Systems and Innovation Research, ISI, and Fraunhofer Institute for Reliability and Microintegration, IZM. And my two dear colleagues, Victoria Tremareva and Ulrike Dorner, have been the two people within DERA that have been heavily involved with this report. So what is it all about? It is based on what it's called SSPs, Shared Socioeconomic Pathways. And there are a total of 5 SSPs that were developed as part of the 5th assessment report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, for climate policy issues in 2013. And 3 of those SSPs have been used as base for the study raw materials for emerging technologies. And those 3 are the what they call SSP1, where globally the world is headed towards a very sustainable way of doing things. And then on the contrary, there's SSP5, where the world would still be on a fossil fuel pathway. And then of course there's something somewhere in the middle of that, and that would be SSP2. And those 3 SSPs are used for all screened technologies as one base function input, if you will. What you see here are those 33 technologies, and they can be grouped into 5 groups. That would be mobility and aerospace, digitization and industry 4.0, energy technologies and decarbonization of the industry, recycling and water management, and then power and data networks. And with that, and within those groups, there's 2 technologies that are of very, very high importance in the sense of decarbonization and mobility. In the sense of mobility, that would be lithium-ion high-performance electricity storage, i.e. lithium-ion batteries. And then on the energy technology side, that would be hydrogen, and with that, water electrolysis of desalinated water and the production of green hydrogen using renewable energies with different technologies. When we talk, or one of those example technologies, as I said before, would be lithium-ion batteries. Why? Because e-mobility has been a growing and very, very dynamic sector for at least 3 to 4 years. And we're just on, at the starting point, if you will. The hockey stick is about to hit in, let's say, 2025, 2030. This is really the time frame where this technology will take off, also in the sense of raw material demand. Today, mainly lithium-ion batteries are used, and the lithium-ion battery demand is driven solely by EVs, which will dominate this industry with more than 90% market share of those batteries in the whole battery sector. A lithium-ion battery is technologically not that difficult. It comprises of an anode and a cathode and a separator in between, filled with an electrolyte that will allow the lithium ions to move towards the anode or cathode, depending on charge or discharge. On the anode side, we usually use graphite, silicon, and copper. Copper as a current collector. Electrolyte is a chemical formulation that also that has right now is a liquid with fluorine in it, and of course lithium as well. And then on the cathode side, there's multiple technologies. They all have in common that the lithium content only varies between 4 to 10%. Irrespective of the other materials that are in the cathode. Right now, lithium manganese oxide is used, lithium nickel manganese cobalt oxide, they call NMC, and there's a clear trend from high cobalt to low cobalt, what they call NMC 811 or NMC 9XX, so something that really has very, very little cobalt because of sourcing issues with cobalt, and of course it's very expensive. Then there's NCA technologies, and over the last couple of months, LFP has popped up really because it is fairly cheap. You don't need any cobalt, and this would be the technology used in low to mid-price cars right now, and maybe even storage systems. So depending on the cathode technologies, different raw materials that we would need, but on the lithium side, you will need lithium for all of those cathode technologies. For the market forecast, the estimation, excuse me, for the market shares are based on market studies, of course. Like I said, there's a clear trend towards 811. NMC with a higher nickel content will dominate the market in the next 10 to 15 years. And there's, of course, a trend towards LFP. And within the report, the LFP content for, let's say, the year 2030 was only at 5%, which might have been a bit too cautious. And so we've already updated this to 22% in 2030. But again, for the lithium industry, this is really not of that importance. So of course, there's other input variables that need to be considered. Of course, there's an extensive literary research on battery electric vehicle technologies in a sense of small cars, compact cars, luxury cars, light or heavy duty commercial vehicles, buses, and of course, as well as their respective battery capacity, specific metal quantities of the battery cathodes in kilograms per kilowatt hour, of course, and in general, the total capacities of those mobility scenarios in the sense of new registrations in gigawatt hours. And what you see here in this table is the assumed a battery size or energy density of the batteries of those different car segments. And I believe in the report, the average battery size for the car is in a range of 50 to 53 kilowatt hours per car. All of those input variables culminate in raw material demands. What you see here are the results of those scenarios. We've got SSP1, SSP2, SSP5, the demanded forecast or the forecasted demand in 2040, the raw materials that would be involved in that specific battery technology, global production in 2018, the current or the demand in 2018, and then those figures that would be calculated. Now, as I said, there's a clear trend towards higher nickel, lower cobalt. So the cobalt industry should not have a huge problem to supply this material. The nickel market right now is a 2.3 million ton market. Demand in the SSP1 scenario would be 2 million tons, but the market will grow to 4 to 5 million tons. Plus, there could be free nickel units out of the stainless steel industry. So that should not be a problem either. Manganese is also not a problem because global production versus the forecast demand is that's not a big deal. Graphite could be an issue not on the primary mining side, but in the downstream sector with ESG issues. Copper is also a 20 million plus ton market, and the figures for that specific application are not that high, but the lithium industry is running into a situation with a fairly small market, less than 100,000 tons a year right now. Demand in 2020 was already 70,000 tons. And the projected demand in 2040 is in excess of 370,000 tons. So the market on the primary side has to grow very, very strong in the next couple of years. It is heavily underinvested in the double-digit billion-dollar range. And only 60 to 70% of the mined or produced lithium is currently battery grade. So the lithium industry really has a lot to do on the primary side to supply the downstream industry in order to fulfill all those obligations that, you know, the car makers and the cell makers have committed to. And as a final slide, these are just a couple of the materials or raw materials that were screened in this report with the different scenarios and the different quantities that were forecast for 2040. And if you're interested, I would highly recommend to have a look out on the DARA website for the English downloadable version in Q1 2022, or if you're fluent in German, you can download it already. And with that, I would like to conclude. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for your interesting presentation. We will go back to you in the first Q&A answer round. But now we will go to our expert in Chile, Juan Carlos Guajardo, founder and CEO of Plus Mining, a consulting firm that seeks to contribute its knowledge and capabilities in mining to institutions and companies. Juan has a vast experience and expertise in the area. He was executive director of the Center for Copper and Mining Studies, CESCO, and was head of the research department of the Chilean Copper Commission, COCHILCO, an advisory body to the government in economic and mining matters. This is just a very brief summary of your experience, Juan. And now you will be sharing with us your thoughts on the trends that are redefining the commodities and mining markets. Hi. Can you see my presentation? Let me know that. Yes, we can see that. Thank you. Well, thank you for your kind invitation. It's a pleasure sharing with you our view on the big challenges we face. Mining is within, it's a key element of challenges of these new age of climate change and then decarbonization. So will be a pleasure for me sharing with you our points of view. Let me begin with a description of these trends in demand, which is changing, which is evolving so fast. Then the supply, what supply can do, how mining can react and sort of catch up with these new reality. And some comments of mining in Latin America. We believe that the starting point is are 5 important trends, which we'll be analyzing for each case. First, we cannot deny the world is going very fast. Sometimes we forget that we're looking for a better life quality, and the environmental pressures are just part of it. But there is a number of people aiming at a better life quality in several dimensions. This, together with the much faster technology changes, our life has changed very fast in the last century. Minerals are more and more important in this process. They've always been from the beginning of the technological revolutions. The world is facing important geopolitical changes or reconfiguration, and this is also translated in the fact that people and businesses need to adapt to this new reality. So, briefly, let me discuss what I said first. World population has grown strongly. On the left, this is the chart showing that. And a good portion of the world population is still not well developed. It's aiming at reaching certain development levels. That means, from the point of view of metals industry, that the needs are growing. It's not that sometimes we think that the lower development level means a lower consumption of metals. It's the other way around. The more people need to go into development, the higher the pressure for metals. And we see this in the use intensity of consumption, how much metal is used. And history shows different realities. Today, China is probably the most important, as China goes into more and more intensive use of raw materials. That will mean pressure on demand. It seems that China has reached a peak in terms of intensity of consumption, and this may drop. But the size is so big, and pressure will remain in place. Second is technological revolution. Since the Industrial Revolution, we have seen 5 steel, railways, and heavy machinery, then electrification, petrochemistry, and automotive industry, and today we are in information, digitalization, and artificial intelligence, and green energy revolution. The chart, it's a bit busy, but it's interesting to see that each one of these revolutions has led between 5 to 6 decades. And the line shows raw material prices during the period. And the conclusion are that each revolution has had the first phase of growing prices, followed by a second phase of decreasing prices. Today, we're in the growing phase. We'll still have room for the situation to continue. But we have to bear in mind, we have to be aware that these are cycles, and that in all of them, as we can see here, metals are instrumental to support this evolution. We're facing a reality of fighting climate change. We have 3 scenarios here described by the World Bank. The consensus is that we should see a greater demand in metals, 3 to 4 times for an average scenario, and that puts us that poses us a key challenge. For copper, as we see here, the green bars, that the average growth per decade in copper consumption. It changes a lot. For this decade, the estimates are many, between 2.5 to 4%. But if we take, let's say, 3%, that means that we need at least one Collahuasi operation each year. This is the world's second largest copper mine. If it would be 4%, we would need an Escondida mine, which is the world's largest, every year. That's the matter of concern. That has not happened in the last few years. We don't have big operations coming into the pipeline. So the concern is how we could face these greater demand. This situation, of course, has placed metals once again under the focus of attention. Metals were quite relevant in the Cold War, strategic inventories, and then with the Berlin Wall falling, that the metals dropped in terms of strategic relevance. But today we see a re-emergence of that, the strategic importance of metals. These are some examples of how countries are readapting their strategies and setting specific initiatives to work with metals in a much more intensive way. Not only securing supply, but also how minerals and metals are part of development projects. And that leads us to a more political dimension. In Latin America, for instance, this is a sequence of 3 periods. We have seen lots of fluctuations, changes, red or leftist governments, then rightist governments. Now we're going back to leftist governments. But geopolitically, mineral resources are more and more important, but probably they will have to live with very challenging realities from the political standpoint. In Latin America, it seems there is quite an instability or political swings that will pose a big challenge when trying to make these situations more stable. But besides that, there is another side, which are the challenges. The greater demand may seem positive and uncontestable. Any company, any country can say, well, demand will be so good that this is like a very easy story. But this is not the case. We see that together with this greater demand, we have more requirements. And some of them are the highest standards for sustainability, which are being implemented around the world, and the trends of circularity, a greater presence, a greater activity of a circular economy. That, for instance, in the case of metals, may mean greater requirements or greater need of the use of recycled minerals, which would decrease demand of minerals. That's a trend that is worthwhile paying attention to. As part of what I've described before. And as I said before, the environmental, social, and governance trends, also known as ESG standards. There are several dimensions which are being changed. There is we need a stronger state, nationalism of resources, it's greater, more environmentalism in the decision making. Mining resources have to have an impact where they are mined, some sort of a regionalism. Pressures of that development models can take these new trends and mining in a more comprehensive manner, and indigenous vindications. As all these are highly complex elements and it will mean a major challenge for mining. Therefore, in summary, in this first section, we see that even though a higher demand for metals is positive for countries such as Chile or Latin America, there are forces that will counteract challenges that we'll have to address, and therefore the interaction of these two elements, it's what matters for the coming years. For the supply end, how supply may respond to these challenges. Let me go back to the current situation. Let me show you how profitability on the left, how the profitability in mining has been severely affected in the last 10 years. Only now, in the last 2 semesters, we have seen an important growth in profitability. And that leads us to analyze on the right hand chart the behavior in terms of capex. And as you can see, there's been a contraction of these capex. The mining industry has not been able, despite the good forecast we discussed, has been unable to invest significantly, aiming at a closing of this gap of the greater demand. In gray, priorities are put on payments of dividends rather than investment. That, I believe, poses significant questions. How the mining industry will face this new reality we have ahead. And we believe there are 6 elements in that the mining industry have to bear in mind. First, more emphasis in efficiency and circularity. That is, all the inputs of the productive process should aim at a greater effectiveness, lower quantities for a greater output, for a greater product, a bigger product, as well as the use of a certain input, which is part of the same story. Second, we believe the mining industry has to reach technological breakthroughs. Mining industry is a very conservative industry in terms of facing technology change. That's natural because of the big size and the big risks involved in mining. However, we believe that this age will force to a more flexible situation, to walk faster into this technology breakthroughs. There are several candidates to help to reach better standards and to produce faster. Third, the adoption of the ESG standards. Here we have some examples of how some industries are already working on standards, such as the responsible steel for steel, aluminum stewardship initiative for aluminum, the copper mark for copper, and also for cobalt. So it is a trend that will be there with us and for us. And the other 3 dimensions that will also be part of this reaction is a more intensity in the work with communities and engagement with governments, commercialization challenges, probably as a result of the standards we discussed before, and greater collaboration. This is also, for mining, it's not that easy, but we believe that the size of the challenges will speed up collaboration in the mining industry. In fact, this is happening. We have some examples along that path. And there are specific initiatives. These are things that already happened. The ICMM, the main mining companies around the world, has set goals for decreasing emissions by 2050. Not only that, there are certain goals that are far beyond the dimensions that mining companies can control, scopes 1 and 2, where the degree of control is much greater. We are very quickly, and this is important for all of us in mining. The Scope 3 goals which involve all the vendors of goods and services for them to be aligned with the emission goals. So the mining industry is taking responsibility, and this is a couple of examples. Companies such as BHP or Fortescue are making dramatic changes. BHP is changing the portfolio, is leaving fossil minerals and then working on copper and nickel, that which will become very important. And Fortescue, it's going far beyond creating business area on green hydrogen that has nothing to do with the origin, which is an iron business. So a big effort along these tracks. And last but not least, in closing, let me say that Latin America, of course, is part of this challenge. Latin America accounts for 45% of the world supply of copper, 32% lithium, 21% iron ore, 55% molybdenum, and precious metals. It accounts for 30% of total exploration. There are consolidated mining districts such as Chile, Peru, Brazil, and Mexico. And there are countries which are trying to join, let's say, a greater mining activities such as Ecuador, Argentina, and Colombia. So the potential, that's the reality for Latin America, it's quite relevant. And if we zoom on the copper in Latin America, this is our view. We believe that Latin America will achieve, this is the share of Latin America in the world supply. Latin America will continue to keep in the next 5 years nearly 40% of the world's supply of copper. And then we'll depend on projects. We see, for instance, 17 copper projects, $30 billion worth of investment, and these projects account for 45% of projects around the world, so aligned with the market share. So Latin America should continue to be a relevant player, but these challenges, which I've described in the presentation, are huge, and under no circumstances are easy to address. So that's my presentation. Once again, thank you for the opportunity, and of course, I'm here to take all your questions. Thank you, Juan, for your presentation on the current trends in the market. Really interesting listening to your insights. And with that, we'll go into the questions that we received. Iris, you were talking, you were looking at those questions. Yeah, questions and comments. First of all, I'd like to thank both speakers. Very good presentations. And in fact, when Juan Carlos was presenting what we needed to supply copper compared to, and comparing that to Collahuasi and Escondida's size, that always helped me to understand the sizes that we're dealing with. I'm a little scared. And Juan Carlos is the one that has some sort of a crystal ball. He can see the future, and ideally he could discuss with us some solutions for that problem. And you said that we should be recycling more material, which is really interesting. And I would like to ask a question for you. This is the Chilean-German forum. Do you believe, or how do you think that collaboration between Chile and Germany can support in solving and help in solving this problem of uncertainty we have in terms of supply? Well, I believe the challenges are so big, Iris, as I said in my presentation, that this has to be addressed in a much more comprehensive way, with much bigger initiatives at a much greater scale. I believe a country with such a relevant technological breakthroughs, such as Germany, and a country with such a such a knowledge and expertise in the manufacturing industry, such as Germany, can make a huge contribution in aligning the challenges and solutions. I believe there are certain things that have to do with the mining technologies that may improve with the technological breakthroughs coming from Germany. I also believe that everything that has to do with the secondary industry, that is recycling, that's an industry where Germany plays a big role. Aurubis, for instance, it's a company that are very successful in that area. So that experience would be quite useful to have it here in this productive reality. Overall, the challenges, I believe, are so big that I believe there is a natural coincidence between the Chilean reality and Germany's reality. Do you believe that what happened during the last 2 years, this global pandemic we're still going through, we all know that, has it had any effect on the forecast and what's happening and investment and how everything is going? I mean, a positive or a negative effect, maybe? Well, that's a difficult question to answer, Iris. One thing, though, I can say is that we see that the pandemic has slowed down some decision-making processes in terms of investment. Mergers and acquisitions that increase when there are good copper prices are just happening now. In the last 2 years, it has been very low. So also exploration, it's more difficult to carry out, or less workers available for going to mining potential. I believe that this pandemic thing has caused slowing down, given the good prices we have. Thank you, Juan Carlos. Same question for Michael. Do you agree with what Juan Carlos was saying?
Yes. Yes. Yes, I would concur with the points that he just made. I mean, we all need to consider that our lifestyle requires raw materials, whether that be minerals or, building materials, all those things considered. And mining has an effect on the environment. And so we need to do this, and we need to address ESG issues, sustainability issues. We need to procure those raw materials in the most sustainable way, but we also need to use them in the most sustainable way. And in that sense, of course, recycling and secondary use will play a tremendous role. And I think the industry has shifted the focus towards more sustainable raw materials. So I think this is going to be very, very important in the future. And COVID has shown us that supply chains are very, very vulnerable to transportation, lockdowns on ports, airports, belly and freight capacity, issues like that. And I think that has slowed down many of the things that were going on in the EV space. For example, also with the OEMs, they cannot build as many cars as they want to because of supply shortages, whether it be semiconductors, magnesium, things like that, batteries, etc. So yes, COVID did have an effect. I think the effect has not been as large as one would have feared, but we're a long ways to go back to normality. This will take a couple more months, maybe even years. But yeah.
Great, thank you, Michael. I have more questions in the chat pod for Juan Carlos. Considering the investment, it's slowing down, how do you see the current discussion in Chile as to the role of mining and a new royalty? Well, that's a really interesting question. I believe that the royalty thing is something rather specific. I mean, every time there is a high price cycle, there is this debate on the mining industry contribution. But more than that, the first question, the first part of the question, which may be related to royalty, which is understanding that the mining industry requires certain conditions to develop. The challenges we've just discussed are huge. Hence, the mining business will have opportunities, but also big challenges. I believe the discussion in Chile today is not, this balance is not always understood, and mining is seen as not unreal, but we fail to acknowledge what's the real situation, the reality as it is. So I believe what we need in Chile and in other countries as well is having a well-informed debate with all the elements that really have bearing, so that decisions are made in terms of a royalty or this new constitution or others are aligned with reality. Okay, thank you, Juan Carlos. I'm looking at we're exceeding our time allotment, so I would like to thank Mijail and Juan Carlos for their presentations and for answering the questions. And Juan Carlos, I see that in the Q&A section in Zoom, there is another question for you. And I would like to ask you to answer that using the chatbot. So thank you very much. Thank you, Germany. Thank you, Juan Carlos and Denise. Into the next block, the next section. Thank you. Thank you all for. We'll now have our second section. We'll have another Q&A period. But in the second section deals with the cooperation and technological advances. We'll have two presentations from businesses showing their development and technology solutions, representing success stories in terms of cooperation and transfer of technology from Germany. The first presentation is by GHH Chile and Talpa Solutions, which is a new generation for recording data from underground machine sensors, evaluating them with the artificial intelligence advanced engines and offering different user categories, the understanding of the technical conditions and the performance of individual units, as well as from other as well as the entire fleet. So I welcome Diego Vélez, General Manager of GHH Chile, and Alexei Chalinsky, New Business Manager at Talpa Solutions. So the floor is yours. Thank you, Denise. Let me share my screen with you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the invitation to participate. I will present GHH Group. We're part of SK Group, Schmittenkranz. With Talpa Solutions, we've developed a data recording system for vehicles and fleets using preventive diagnosis. GHH Group is based in Santiago, in Chile, first established in 1782. This is a metal smelter, and then we had GHH mining machine from South Africa, and then a polish business. And now we have everything with the first line for underground mining using low-profile machine, and of course open pit mining in some cases. We are all over the world, almost more than 5,000 units in operation, 160 engineers in development, over 60 countries where we have customers, drilling rigs. We have over 1,400 units and over 900 employees around the world. As you can see, we have direct representation in Chile, US, Germany, Australia, South Africa, India, and China. The rest are just representatives. We are in Santiago de Chile, Parque Los Libertadores, in Colina. We offer low-profile equipment, utility vehicles, drilling rigs. Our customers are the big mining companies, also contractors, such as Geovida, Gardelsicht, companies that do the renting of equipment, such as SK Rental. Our proposal is repair of components, site service, selling of spare parts for equipment. We also do multi-brand services, overhaul, maintenance, and repair. We have Tesla, Banks, Kessler, Dana for repair and replacement. And Alexei now will present the GHH Insight system. Alexei, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Diego. Thank you very much to the organizers for being able to present our system. I will try to share my screen now, if it's possible. Could you give me the right to do this, please?
Diego, me parece que tienes que dejar de compartir. Sí, ahora.
Sí.
Ahora debería funcionar.
Un segundo.
Now
Yeah,
it works, Alexei.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I will present you the GHH Insight. This is the project that we are working with GHH together as Talpa Solutions for the last couple of years. A few words about Talpa Solutions. We are the startup slowly transforming or even, let's say, actively transforming into the technology company, such as scale-up. So basically not only the idea, but we are already have the products and the active customers and actually very developing business in this area. And we have agreed with the GHH Insight that we have with the GHH, that we will create the digital product that will be called GHH Insight.
Just a second, Alexei.
Yes.
We can't see your screen yet. You're not sharing
I'm
your
sorry.
screen.
Just a second. Okay, there we go.
Now, yes, now we can see it.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, and we have developed GHH Insight as the product for predominantly GHH machines, but this can also be applied for all the other brands if GHH is running the project, for example, where different machines are also in operation. We can basically apply this system to all of the other machines in the mine. The product is actually end-to-end solution, and we start first of all with logging all the data that is available on the sensors that are installed on the machine. The sensors can be embedded. That means the sensors are already available on the machine by definition, or they can also be retrofit if we need some physical information from the machine that is not available by the sensors that are on the machine. They can be installed additionally and also be connected to the data logger. That is our proprietary technology, and this equipment allows logging the data from the machine at a very high rate. So we log every data point of the machine at 10 to 100 times a second. And we then transfer it to the cloud platform that is available to absorb the information from really many thousands of the machines. The information is, of course, secured and protected by the best data protection algorithms and end-to-end encryption. The information can be pushed to the platform over the Wi-Fi networks that might be available in the mine. For the surface, we also use the mobile technology to transfer the information, and we also use the machine-to-machine communication. That means if you have the machines, for example, in the mine that are not getting into the vicinity of the Wi-Fi access points, the machines can exchange the data between themselves and then carry it as a taxi to the next access points to drop into the platform. The platform itself is a combination of several microservices that allow getting all the raw data that is available and then actually choosing the signals that we need for the certain analysis and process them in a near real time. So more or less the information that is getting to the platform within the few minutes will be available as the already as the insights in the front end. The front end basically is the web interface where the user can log in, and we can have different interfaces. We can have interfaces, for example, for the maintenance personnel, or we have the interfaces for the management or the operations personnel. It's actually showing the technical conditions of the machine, and it's showing the operational conditions of the single machines as well as the fleet of the machines and the production volumes, for example, that are available in the process, and so on and so on. Business-wise, we are applying very flexible approach of hardware as a service and software as a service. That means that we basically have the subscription fee for a machine or for a fleet that is paid on a monthly basis, and so the implementation of the system does not really need the big financial investments. So the basic KPIs that we are displaying in our platform, and I want to mention that we don't use any manual input, so the technology is independent of the human. It just processes the information that we get from the machine. Is the operating time, the technical downtime, for example, when the machines are not in the operation, the time that is required for the certain operations, such as loading, such as hauling, such as traveling. We can display the idle time, speed, number of cycles that the machines are doing, tons that are transported, that the machines are equipped with the payload measurement systems, as well as different combinations of these parameters that can be viewed in minute-by-minute basis, or also summarized over a shift or a day. So there's different opportunities to basically get and analyze the information, and it can easily be displayed. So like once set up, it can easily be displayed on a regular basis, so that people do not lose time actually see what the machines are doing. Another applications is the maintenance support. So basically we start with a simple idea of recording the engine hours of the machine and getting notifications to the maintenance personnel as to how many hours are left to the next maintenance, so that the maintenance personnel and operation personnel can plan the availability of the machines. Or otherwise, we can go as well as predictive maintenance for some of the elements. We're working actively with the engine manufacturers, as well as with the different OEMs producing the filters, the hydraulic systems, and so on and so on. And these models are permanently updated on the platform as the ecosystem. So each model available for a single machine will be available for all of the machines that are integrated on the platform. One of the projects that we are running with GHH at the moment, which is the frontline project for our cooperation, is in the German salt mines, where we started about 1.5 years ago with a 4-month trial for 1 LHD. And after this, GHH have signed the contract to integrate the entire fleet of 150 machines at 3 mines. At the moment, there's about 140 integrated. So we're in December this year where we have to reach the 150 machines. And basically, this has allowed the mine to see, to reach the transparency in terms of seeing what the machines are doing in their operations, but also the communication between the OEM, that means GHH, and the mine, in order to understand how the machine is performing, where the maintenance is needed, enhancing the after sales, for example, of GHH as well, and optimizing the maintenance processes at the mine. I think that this is all in a short time from my side, and myself and Diego will be happy to answer your questions afterwards. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Alexei. Thank you, Diego. We'll be back with you in a couple of minutes. Before we'll go to the second presentation by Oscar Pro. Since 2012, he's a sales manager for Latin America at the Ishabek, one of the leading manufacturers of geotechnical solutions, shoring systems, and formwork. Oscar is a mining engineer with more than 25 years of experience in mining and civil infrastructure projects. And Oscar will present the Titan micropile solution and its contribution to the mining industry in Chile. Oscar, we can see your presentation already, so thank you. And go ahead with your presentation. Thank you for the invitation. Good morning in Chile, good afternoon in Europe. We'll be discussing Titan micropiles. They come from the Ruhr Basin company, established 140 years ago as a small tool company, has been growing and developing, established a foundry, has invented aluminum systems, telescopic supports, and in 1980 the first Titan micropoles. This is our main facilities. We supply geotechnical solutions, shoring and formwork systems. We have 18 branch offices in around the world. In Chile, we've been present for 20 years already. In 2018, we decided to open our office, and we are in Chile and in the whole mining industry. As I said, applications have been around for 20 years. No better proof of the high quality and capability of our solutions that all the structures based on Titan micropiles that had no problem during the terrible earthquake in 2010. This is Gonzalo Herrera. He's our general manager. When he's in a local market, you can have a more fluent contact and connection with the market. The Titan system is we used as a composite system consisting of steel and cement. This is a schematic. This is the head. This is a high quality steel bar with fine grain, meeting all the European standards as for manufacturing of these fine grain steels and the characteristics of ductility, strength, and geometry of the screw so as to transmit the load to the steel. The bar is used as a drill rod, then we do the injection, and then will stay as a reinforcement element. These they have different inner and outer diameters. We have a family for loads between 190 to 6,465 kilonewtons of loads. For the length, we need to splice more than one bars. We have these couplers that will transmit all the energy of the drilling impact and will transmit the different loads. This is the installation of a bar, and coupler, the centralizer that's for the centering of the bar and the coating with the cement, which is here on top of the coupler, and drill bits available for different types of soils and with a diameter consistent with the loads. This is an example. This is a drill bit, injection, bars, centralizers, and couplers. The drill bit has these injection nozzles that will allow the cement to go into the drill hole. We use a regular standard drill bit. This is the bar and an injection head through which we can introduce the injection. Process is always the same, regardless is anchoring a pile or any other system. We are drilling, and at the same time we are injecting diluted cement, reaching the final length of the solution. We work with a much concentrated grouting. Of course, we need a team, a human team, cement, an injection system, and a drill rig. It's always exactly the same, injecting the grout and the cement through the bar as we drill, and we save a casing and operations other than injection, because from the very beginning we start treating the system. So in the first phase we improve the soil, and then we transmit all the loads from our element through the injection body. So when the micropile is under load, there is a cracking of the cement. This cracking is completely consistent with the strain of the steel, and they are always all smaller, 0.1 millimeters. So there is a permanent protection against corrosion. The German Institute for Construction has certified that for permanent applications for well over 100 years. This is an example. The micropiles have been excavated to check for the adherence attachment to the ground. This is a detail of the cement body, the bar, and the coupler. Well, we can build the micropiles, anchors, soil nails, rock bolts, and tunneling and mining applications. Let me show you some graphical applications for the foundations of a bridge, a tunnel, stabilization in a tunnel face. We can do foundations, underpinning, protection, and let me show you some examples in the Chilean market. This is an industrial facility. Here again, our drilling rig, and this is the micropile with no casing. It's just direct drilling. This is a mining application. Again, our drilling rig, installing foundations for a new structure. This is the bar already installed, and they are building the head. The 7353. This is a new mining application, regardless of the conditions. Solution is adapted to any circumstances. Here again, it's a smaller drilling bar. We're revamping a structure for conveyor belts. This is rehabilitation and underpinning and stabilization for a mining museum in Poland. Underpinning again of energy tower in Arab Emirates in resisting uplift. This is a detail of micropiles. We could use the slope stabilization. So we're drilling rig, the bars. The system is always the same. This is an example of a slope which has been stabilized with mesh and galvanized bars. This is a drift phase, stabilization of retaining walls. We can do anchoring similar to those with the pre-stressed cables, but much more cost-effective for sheet pile walls, for instance, in an industrial structure in England. This is a drilling rig adapted to any pneumatic equipment, and an operator can build this whole installation. Tunnels, underground mining. We can also work with the same system with using resins instead of cement or grout. Coal mining, open pit mining, stabilization of structures here again, the anchoring, and we can use very small teams in very confined spaces for reinforcement. These are the different applications for wind mills with dynamic loads, variable loads, foundations, soil nailing, anchoring. We continue to work with our products in Germany, and for 20 years we have been working in the Chilean mining. We have developed applications for preliminary studies from our web page so that the customers can find their own proprietary reports. Micropiles are part of different families, and we continue to try to adapt to the demands of the market. The system, as I said, has been approved by the German Institute for Construction for our permanent applications. It's a system that's fast, simple, flexible, really very little noise, vibration, and the spoil is contained in no ways. There are infinite applications, by opening our office in Chile, we have approached mining companies so that we can work with them and collaborate in the design and have important benefits both in time and money savings. We provide technical assistance and all the support you might be needed. And as I said, our applications are permanent. And I believe I managed to shorten my presentation time. Of course, I'm available to your questions. Thank you, Oscar. Yes, you can stay with us. We're a little late. We'll have a look at the questions we received for you, for Diego and Alexei. So, Iris, back to you. Thank you, Denise. I'd like to thank the speakers for the interesting technologies. First, Oscar, you presented a solution where we clearly see the wonders of German engineering, and mining, it's only one aspect where this is applied. What would you say is the most specific contribution the technology has for mining in Chile in terms of sustainability, savings? Well, it's been a very quick presentation, though. In terms of the applications, on the one hand, you only need small equipment, small drill rigs, and that's all you need. You have less energy consumption. Steel consumption is lower. Cement or grout consumption is lower. CO2 savings, which is the trend we all have. Everything is covered. I mean, the technology was not invented for this, but this has been adapted to lower consumptions and higher performance. You need little labor, a little movement of additional equipment. We have done projects in the middle of jungles, not in Chile, of course, but we have been 100% friendly with the environment. Okay, thank you, Oscar. And I have a question for Alexei. In fact, it's my question though. Alexei, can you hear us? Do you have simultaneous interpretation, right? Okay, great. In 2019, former Ministry of Mining in Chile, he went to your company with the delegation from Chile visiting your company. And already back then, he saw the huge potential in the solution you are working on together with Diego's business. I would like to ask you back then, 2019 till now, nearly 2022, what has been the evolution of the technology and you as a technology startup?
So we've grown twice in number of personnel. We've grown about 200 times in the number of the machines in our applications that are integrated on the platform. We've actually acquired the data logging technology because we were basically the software company then, and we were working with a partner who was supplying the technology, and now we have acquired this technology, and that's kind of embedded into the entire solution. And we have managed to expand the functionality of the platform itself to be as scalable as you actually wish to absorb thousands of the machines and then manage the data from the thousands of the machines. And of course, we had a very significant projects, both in the surface mining as well as the underground. I think the biggest of them is the project with GHH that I have already highlighted at the salt mines in Germany. But I think that, we are, if 2019 we were a startup, a classical startup, just got out of the cellar, just rented the offices, just started growing. At the moment we are becoming a scale up. That means that we are we found our product market fit, and we are moving forward towards being a really technology company. Just start.
Thank you. One last question. Felipe Merino, for Diego. Given your experience in different technologies, what technical and professional capabilities can you identify here in Chile as an opportunity for collaboration and technology development? Let me add a personal comment. GHH is some sort of a traditional business together with a technology startup to offer a solution. So what opportunities for collaboration do you see? Well, we are open to offer solutions to problems from customers. Before inventing something to reach the market, we want to solve problems, customer problems. So we're open to any type of cooperation provided we see an application. In this case, the development of data recording for repair purposes. The machine used to be fixed when already broken. Now we capture data. We are preventive so as to offer a solution before there's a breakdown. So, I mean, we want to develop more technologies, but always apply technologies. Right, we're not trying to invent things where there is no immediate application. That's a good point. Thank you, Diego. Thank you, Oscar and Alexei. And Denise is right there. So that means I have to close my Q&A. And now back to Denise. Thank you, Iris. Time is flying by, and we are already reaching the last section and the last presentation today. Here we want to move on to the perspective of mining companies. It is the mining companies that are facing great challenges incorporating new technologies such as data science, artificial intelligence, or circular economy to transform mining processes from their base. And we're very happy and pleased to have the participation of Ignacio Flores. He is the Superintendent of Operational Excellence at Compañía Minera Doña Inés de Collahuasi, to the mining and production of copper concentrate and molybdenum concentrate, with several projects aimed at a more sustainable mining. And now Ignacio will be sharing with us about the Collahuasi's process technology transformation strategy. Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank AHK for the invitation in this Collahuasi Technological Transformation Strategy for Processes, where we can see that German companies are making a contribution to this strategy. Let me begin by some context, quite typical in the mining industry and others industries which are physical asset intensive, which is the loss of value, a loss of operational continuity and variance, measuring between 15 to 20% gap, whatever the performance indicators we're talking about. Therefore, we have to work with the focus on the variability of processes. You have to deal with improvisation and accident rates. So the management by process risk to measure the variance is the objective function to be maximized. But reducing variance or the incidence, we mean these four areas, also called productive factors, such as people, equipment, facilities, or environment. As a company, we've been pushing for quite some time the risk management cycle, which is based on the Deming cycle. We have the quality and excellence principles in modern management. We took this model and we went into planning, emphasizing and characterizing key elements of process management. We're proud of our results throughout these few years, measured by these four capital indicators of performance. Safety, with the frequency rate is nearly zero. Production, which is a 2.2 fold increase. Production and operating costs, and safety of people, productivity of process, and operational competitiveness places Collahuasi in the top one in the mining, in the copper mining industry in Chile. This slide shows the strategic framework we have. On the left, as the three phases of development: stabilization, optimization, and growth. On the right, top right, so the five strategic focuses, and at the bottom, how we deploy these focuses towards processes. It's operational guidelines. Let me elaborate on the number 3 and 4. Sustainability and digital transformation, so how we're translating or mobilizing our work, and circular economy. Digital transformation is aligned with RMC. These are gains in terms of total productivity and sustainability of operations. We have done. We have run this model. We have the learning curve and the digital transformation models. For us is just moving our lessons from the analog into a digital form, that is automatic or automated learning. Data science tools, machine learning, artificial intelligence support these RMC. What we have here, it's a depiction from the block model down to shipping. The value chain in mining is ruled by a series of data storage systems. Says that data is the new oil. It's a reality in our operation. Strategy is supported by fourfold enablers: operating model and culture, data and analytics, technological architecture, and the digital ecosystem. As you can see, we are working on a series of projects: artificial intelligence in mining operations, processing of a natural language, and heat maps to monitor operational risks. Let me focus on the joint work with Siemens. It's a specialized science, data science team. This is the digital twin for our crushing and conveying system connecting the mine and the concentrator plant. We have validated a proof of concept on our longest conveyor belt, CV203, 5.2 kilometers, to improve reliability, strengthening the controls of one of the most critical processes of the company. We aim at having a simulation model based on advanced analytics, allowing to predict and anticipate the operation of the whole system. Let me now introduce the second, focused on the technological transformation of processes. As you can see, this is we use the CGR model. In this case, circular economy, with the simplicity, discipline, and alignment. We have to add value to the business. We have to develop initiatives to improve productivity, to enhance the environment, and to contribute to regional development. Circular economy is being applied all across the company through 5 lines of work. Reviewing all our process maps, including recycling, redesigning, avoiding emissions and waste. The governance, which was implemented, is addressing this technological transformation process. We've also have a working team to promote circular economy throughout the whole value chain. We have the training and building of awareness among our workers, so as to train them on our new strategic focus, and a portfolio project, 43 initiatives today. And as part of this group, we have 6 initiatives with a high impact, which are in this slide. Let me emphasize the change in awarding of contracts and tenders. Among other elements, we'll be evaluating the impact on circular economy. This addition will have a 20% weight. The impact and influence of these areas, it's key given the big amount of investments we have. Now, the engineering work with Fraunhofer for the implementation of alternatives in terms of green hydrogen at the high elevations. In summary, I'd like to say that digital transformation in Collahuasi, incorporating new technologies, is being developed in full alignment with CGR. The digital transformation through the reduction of process variability to improve total factor productivity as well as the safety and sustainability of mining processes. Circular economy aims at an efficient use of resources to promote waste recirculation and to promote the recycling of wastes generated, thus allowing a gradual reduction of waste throughout the whole value chain, contributing to the business in terms of productivity, environment, and regional development. Our operational focus for the coming years is deepening this technological transformation, incorporating new projects aligned with this new strategic framework. Thank you for your time and our greetings. Thank you, Ignacio. In your case, the presentation was pre-recorded, but now you are here live with us. So welcome. And then we're back to Iris so that we can see the questions we have received for you. Thank you, Denise, and thank you, Ignacio, for your time of being with us. And thank you for that interesting presentation. You've shown a specific example of a Chilean-German cooperation, the Siemens technology you're using, and also the collaboration with the Fraunhofer Institute. Now, your experience, besides digitization, what are the operations or areas where you see a greater potential for application of German technologies? Hi, Iris. Hi, Denise. Thank you once again for the invitation. Well, it's a wide range, really. In Germany, Germany is a source of technology transfer, great innovations, and besides these topics, which are digitization, state-of-the-art things, but for mining equipment, for instance, we do have a German-made equipment here for pumps. There is a huge world, a myriad of things where German companies have been involved and will continue to be involved in Collahuasi's processes. Maybe these topics I've just discussed in terms of technological transformation, I believe there are very good success stories you can help us with, mainly because of the development you have in several areas of research and development. Okay, thank you. And you I understand you are in the application and operations, but what about what we heard from Michael and Juan Carlos early in the forum? You, as a mining company, you not only have the collaboration with Germany in terms of using technology suppliers on site, but also you have the two arms, two connecting arms, and how. What Carlos and Michael mentioned, how to guarantee the supply of resources to a country such as Germany that needs these resources you mine, ideally in a sustainable manner. How do you see this virtuous circle, which we all hope is a virtuous circle? It is virtuous. It is a happy, virtuous cycle. Given the size of our operations, we are the world's second largest company. We have a global scale. Now, good news is that mega trends, unfortunately, affecting us, such as climate change, rains in in Germany. I mean, the world needs copper. Copper is the axis for electromobility, and electromobility will replace much of the fossil fuel consumption. And from that standpoint, yes, we have projects, we have expansion plans that we will have to work on in terms of the environmental assessment, but that places us in a very good position to supply the copper everyone needs. And of course, there is an invitation to continue on these R&D efforts. Ideally, we can build these green hydrogen engines. We're already running tests, but we'll be paying attention to these technology, scientific, and service offering, because we're not only buy products, but we also buy services from you. So from that standpoint, yes, it's a win-win relationship. Thank you for mentioning that. Of course, green hydrogen is here to stay. It has been a trend, will continue to be a trend, and between Chile and Germany, we have been working on and will continue to work in the coming years, and of course, will always be a good partner. So thank you, Ignacio, for your presentation, for offering a view, the outlook of an important mining company here in Chile. And with that, I would like to close this panel discussion. And I'm waiting for Denise to show. There she is. So thank you, Ignacio. Thank you, Denise. And then back to you for your closing remarks. Yes, and with that, we come to the end of the Chilean-German Mining and Mineral Resources Forum 2021. I think one conclusion for this event today is that while it feels sometimes as if the pandemic is holding us back in many ways and aspects of life, in mining and the whole industry around it, we're experiencing many changes and a transformation that has an impact on the whole value chain and all related processes. And what does that mean for Chilean-German cooperation? Our ministry authorities and Cornelia already mentioned it at the beginning of the event. In these challenging times for mining, cooperation between Chile and Germany is gaining importance to join forces and jointly face the fight against climate change and the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. With that, I'd like to say goodbye. I'd like to thank all the speakers and all the participants and the audience for being with us. I'd like to thank our sponsors, German Mining Network, Aderaplast Mining, the Bayern government in Latin America, the Ministry of Mining of Chile, and the Ministry of Economics and Energy in Germany. I'd like to hope to find you like to meet at Exponor in 2022 with the Germany as a main guest. And this is our contact information. We'll be happy to receive your questions and comments. So please keep in touch and be well. Take care of yourselves and see you next time. Thank you, everyone. Bye. See you at Exponor. Right. See you at Exponor.